So,
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to round 7 of the Can-Am 1971 Championship here at HSO. Coming to you tonight from the Donnybrooke Speedway circuit in Brainerd in the Americas. Not sure exactly where more than that, but with me in the booth tonight I have Alberto yet again. Good evening, Alberto. How are you?
hello everybody, pleased to be here as usual.
And yeah, well, the lost my track of thoughts then. But let's go to the points first, I think, and update ourselves on how it stands after our visit to Road America last time out, where David Saber pulled out a bit of a gap in the championship, sitting first on 73 points in his McLaren. Yves Placé is still second, 5 points adrift in his Ferrari. David Yates is third, using his one-off drives like the one he has tonight to very good use on 48 points. 2 points behind him is David Junt in one of the McLarens, and Martin Lassina, who I think won't be racing tonight, is currently sitting in 5th on 37 points. And we also have a couple of developments coming into this race, where Brian Yannick will be joining the American Racing Association. That's one of the yellow, I believe, McLarens, stepping up from his M6B to one of the M8 iterations. So he will hopefully have a good and more competitive run tonight. And Juha Boos has also stepped up to the Works McLaren Castle Limited team, running the second of the two Works McLarens in this championship. And with those two stepping up to bit faster cars, I can't imagine them being far down the field, but instead fighting for at least top 10 finish here tonight. Or what do you think, Alberto?
Yeah, well, we have today a track, we're commenting that already before the broadcast, that is somehow very akin to the Paul Ricard circuit in France. I mean, this is a track that has a very, very quick section. It's a wide track in that part. It's very, very fun to race, and you can go really quick. We have seen the factory McLarens hitting almost 220 mph there. And then you have a very twisty back section, which is also much narrower, and where you have to take, of course, a completely different approach, setup-wise and with care with the throttle, especially in the very powerful cars. Anyways, it's clear that the quickest section of the track is dominating here, and as such we see the factory McLarens there on the top. There are David Saber and Juha Boos already in second position, and a very meritorious third place so far for Yves Placé, because his Ferrari is way behind in terms of power, so it's evident that he's getting back most of the time from his skill in the back part of the circuit. But we should see some frustrating situations here for Yves and for other people that are quite skilled but with not so powerful cars, because they might be able to overtake or even get a bit of an edge in the twisty section, and then probably we'll see the more powerful cars gunning past them in the straights. So we'll see where all this ends. It's also remarkable that the first turn is a very difficult one, because it's so quick, so tremendously quick. Sexcott is a wide track, but still is a very dangerous place. So not that you can carry your speed there to try to overtake. I mean, even if you have a good speed advantage, it will require lots of skill to be able to pull passes there in the quick section.
Yeah, I was watching some of the races earlier, and Grant Ridal driving the Shadow was going as fast as he possibly dared, and was almost able to hold it through the first turn, but still ended up out on the grass and lost a heap loads of time. So you're right on the limit.
Yeah, the limit, it's very difficult to gauge there on those very high speed turns, because when you're on one of the slower ones, well, the car starts sliding and more or less you lose speed and that's it. But if you start sliding here on the edge of those very quick turns, then it's too easy that you put the wheel on the grass and end up spinning, or God knows where.
Indeed. And let's see, qualifying is just done here, with Saber, as you mentioned, taking pole. You have both second and Yves Placer rounding out the top 3. With a bit of luck, we should very shortly be able to find someone who's heading out on the track so that we can have an onboard run or ride. And here we are on board with Felipe Enrique. Let's see if anyone else. Yeah, we have one more there on the track. Alberto, your son, is out on the track going towards turn 1 now. Let's ride aboard with him for this one.
Was trying to get a feel for the car, because it will be so much heavier now with all the fuel load. They're not going to make fuel pit stops, as we know. So it's everything that you have to take on board before the race starts. And we know that these cars are not exactly economy rides. They are very engines that are very thirsty. So they take aboard a big load of fuel. And that makes the handling so difficult and so different from the low fuel setup that they had been using in qualifying.
I get with these cars, I get a bit of what Jeremy Clarkson once said about the car he was test driving, that he would put like, I don't know what that would be, but let's say about 60 liters in a tank. You drive 10 miles and it would just say "Gurp" and say, "Oh, that was tasty, you better get some more." Because it would have drank it all in those 10 miles. Yeah, coming up to the last turn, a very wide sweeping right-hander. And of course the Donnybrooke track is based on is part of a drag strip. And I believe it will have been an old airfield of some description. We saw Felipe Enrique with a bit of a moment, but going through turn 1 here, you can really see how quick. This isn't even the quickest car on the grid. How quick he's going through turn 1 and turn 2 as well. And I think the sound of that should be the Ferrari of Yves Placer running close behind. Actually coming up the inside by the sound of things, he did. Broke himself quite heavily. But then into the back section here, turn 3, and this is turn 4. Up into 5, which I believe is the tightest of the back end corners. 6 and 7 here. No, sorry, 6 here. Bit wider arc left-hander, then 7 and 8, a left-right combination, which is very tricky in these cars, partly because of the bumps and partly because they don't really like the change the direction too much. And another very bumpy right-hander in turn 9. Onto the drag strip we go. And then again back into the last corner of the circuit. As we can hear again, Yves Placer coming up, and I believe that will have been David Yates as well. Yes, indeed. So, yeah, very quick track, a very tricky track, and perfectly suited, I feel, for these cars. A real challenge and hopefully a lot of fun for the drivers to drive. As we are waiting for the final few preparations. As we can see, Michael Drexler having a small off. Here we have. Now we had one of the great cameras. See if we can get ourselves there and just get a feel for the speed the cars carry through the turns. And as you may also have noticed, we, within quotation marks, only had 22 drivers in the server at the moment. And that's mainly down to summer being here. I know quite a few of the drivers who are not here is on vacation. But I believe this is the final Can-Am race before the summer break. I believe we have one more F1 race left and possibly a gold star, and then we'll be going on a summer break during most of July, if I'm not entirely mistaken. Which I think many of the drivers will find quite nice to have a bit of a break in the serious side of their sim racing hobby and be able to enjoy the mostly nice weather.
Apologizes, looking just at the calendar. Yes, we still have one Can-Am race to go. That's on July the 22nd. It will be in Edmonton, and we have a Gold Star race that will be announced, and that's on July the 15th. So yeah, we have Formula 1, Gold Star and Can-Am variety in the month of July, and then we'll be heading for summer holidays during August, and we'll be back in September, again starting with Formula 1, and then doing the second leg of our Triple Crown at Bono.
That shows how good my memory is. Thank you very much, Alberto. So yeah, that should also be an interesting race for these cars. By the way, the Edmonton one. Though I haven't been...
Quite small and narrow track.
Indeed. I believe we raced there in the Formula 5000 / Formula Atlantic cars like 3 or 4 years ago now. And even for those heavily winged machines, technically, it was quite a handful to drive around that track.
Someone said once, racing the Indy cars, the modern Indy cars at Phoenix, that it was somehow like trying to fly your average combat jet aircraft in a basketball field. So I guess that these cars will more or less feel the same in the small Edmonton circuit.
I do believe you're probably right. I haven't heard that comparison before, but I think I can understand exactly what they mean.
Yeah, I guess at Edmonton, Mark Donoghue would have been also a very happy man, because, you know, he said he would only have enough power once he could get wheel spin in 5th gear from the beginning to the end of the main straight of the track. So I guess that's exactly what they will get at Edmonton with these cars. We've seen that many times already in the season. I mean, the cars in four gear, they are spinning the wheels in the straights. They are leaving there the black rubber marks. So, and that's in some tracks like Road America. So I don't dare thinking what will happen at Edmonton, but it will for sure be a tire burning festival.
Indeed, probably the one with the most patience will win that race.
I think that probably the only cars that we have raced with an even more ludicrous ratio between tire and power were the 1937 cars, where you could get wheel spin in any gear, any speed.
Yeah.
Those were absolutely crazy cars.
How anyone survived that race, I cannot understand. They were so difficult to drive. Yeah, let's see, we're almost at the race. Okie dokie.
We're almost there.
Any predictions for this race?
Well, it's hard not to put your money on the factory McLarens. But if Yves doesn't have his proverbial bad luck that he has said in the last races, he's always a sure candidate to be there, at least in the podium. So let's see.
Indeed. Well, let's see, we are just about to carry over, so I'll let's see. Okay, we still have Drexler to finish his final warm-up lap. Looks like that's the
Takes
almost
long
final.
to get to next session.
We'll move in a moment. We still have, I believe, this is David Junt now finishing his lap. So I believe that should be the final one. Looks like it indeed. There we are. We're in the race session. And we have 71 laps, which is about, if I can remember stuff. Let's bring up the track map quickly, so because we didn't mention it. The track is 4.8 k's long, about 3.0 miles. We'll be racing 70 laps, with the 71st, or first in this case, being the formation / warm-up lap, and that will incorporate about 210 miles. As we were waiting for everyone to get set to go. But on pole we have David Saber, with second Juha Boos in the second of the works McLarens. Yves Blasé rounded out third, with David Yates fourth, Grant Riddle 5th, Raoul Yared 6th, 7th for Jason Whited, 8th for Brian Yannick, 9th for David Junt, and rounding out the top 10 is Gabriel Sturr, 11th for Michael Drexler, with 12th for Gerard Brion, 13th for Adam Hackman, with 14th for Ray Riddle, 15th for Mick Chapman, and 16th Pascal Nicola. 17th, and by the looks of things missing his front bonnet for some reason, is Felipe Enrique, and 18th for our newcomer to the series, double check, Mark, I thought it was Michael, Mark Cracks, who hopefully will have a good run here tonight. 19th for Timo Vermeersch in the lowly powered Porsche. 20th for Alberto Jr. 21st for Bruno Chacon. Was that 22nd? No, 21st. Who? I believe we are missing someone, possibly. Well, either way, we are about to head on to this, towards the last corner. We can see the field trying to form up as best they can. As they are rounding the final corner, heading up towards the start-finish line, and the green is out and the race is underway. Let's see, it looks like
they get to the very quick first turn. This will be hairy. 3 wide there on the second row. Whoa!
Whoa, that's brave. As you can see, everyone streaming through. Everyone behind the second row is at least far more behaved, running more or less in one line, which is nice to see.
Everybody seems to have been able to get through safely. That's good. And now the tracks become narrower.
Oh, we have, I think that's Mikael Drexler off in the background, ran a bit wide in the hairpin. But as you say, it looks like everyone has survived. Oh, it's side-by-side mount between Mikola and not sure who that was in the white and the silver and red car.
And David Jacks has been some pressure on Grant Riddle, not willing to let Juha Boss and David Saber get away. Especially David, because he's already opening a bit of a gap. That's the advantage you get from running there in cleaner.
Running very wide, sorry to cut you off. I think a few of them scraped the wall.
Oh, Timo Vermeersch just spun. Well, he was very lucky to avoid the barriers.
Oh, he span all the way. Wow. That's so unfortunate for him, but as you said, at least he managed to avoid the barriers. I just love this curb cam in turn 1. It's absolutely fantastic to sit and watch from.
Factory McLaren's putting their own show, because I think Suzuka is starting to open a bit of a gap now.
David is definitely opening up a gap. I'm not so sure Juha is quite able to do it just yet.
It surprises me a bit that Grant, with that very powerful engine in his peculiar car, isn't able to keep up in the straights as well.
It could be that he needs a lot of grip in the front end, but running behind Yves and the Ferrari, which is also a very quick car in the corners, is messing up his front end grip.
Let's see now how Yves is able to... Oh, there comes flying there. That's certainly not in the best place, but look at the Ferrari. It's holding its own very well in this part of the track.
When a bit further behind, David Junt is making a move into turn 1 of all places, and Brian Yannick, who's running in his new machine.
Well, he managed to make it sick.
A very brave move, but also looked fairly calculated.
So it seems that little Alberto has retired.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Not sure what happened there.
It looks like we have. Looks like someone has disconnected as well. Oh, it's Mikael Drexler who's also retired. So maybe Mikael and little Alberto came together somewhere. But in the meantime, we can see here that David Saber definitely has opened up a bit of a gap. And then it's Bors, Placé, Riddle, Yakes, and then I'm not sure who's in that red car anymore. Whited in 11th and Jareb on 12th.
Yeah, that's Jason Whited. And Raul Jareb just behind him. They're both teammates at Mochenbacher Racing. Man, that sounds difficult to pronounce. No, because it's, you know, the first word is German and the second one is English, and it's a bit of a brain fade when you have to switch between both. It's Mochenbacher, that's German, and then racing.
Quite. So we had Yakes and Riddle getting very close in their battle for 4th position overall.
So little Alberto just told me that he came out of the turn and found a big chunk of debris there in the middle. It was the hood of a car that had lost it, and when taking evasive action, he spun and hit the wall.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Presumably that would have been Mikael Drexler's body car
because
part,
it's in the pits and still torn in pieces.
Yeah. That's the most likely.
Oh, that's racing. Anyway, back to the lead of the race. David opened the lead, the gap there in the lead, but now he's sticking it there. I mean, he's not apparently not trying to make it bigger.
And just a bit behind, we had side by side between Grant and David Jakes, where Grant ran wide out of the last corner, and David had a bit of a run, but the straight line speed of Grant's shadow showed its supremacy down the front straight.
Yeah, those two might not be fighting for victory today, but they sure are going to have a lot of fun.
That's very, very possible indeed. You can see now that we're riding on board with David Yakes that both him and Grant is moving around a lot all over the track. The 7, 8, 9 section of the track that we just went through. Really trying hard.
And the boys from the unpronounceable team are right behind there, waiting for the chance.
Indeed. Doing very well, and David Junt just behind them, trying to catch up, having had a bit of a lackluster opening lap by looks of things. I think he dropped a few positions early on, and then we saw him make up one position. Brian Yannick, who's now being pursued by Gabriel Sturr. And Sturr, of course, we know is very good on the defensive work, since we saw him fight with Ray Riddle around Watkins Glen. But now it's up to him to show his offensive prowess instead. Now we have Gerard Rion and Adam Hackman to follow up behind them. It looks like
it's great to see Gerard Rion car in one piece, because he has been having lots of incidents in the past races, contact with barriers and other cars, and you always see Gerard's car someone when we are 1/3 into the race, bent as hell, with missing parts and all that. It's a funny looking car, it's quite peculiar, and it had that shovel front wing that they put there in an effort to try to give it some front downforce, because it was sorely lacking on it. But it's not a bad looking car. I mean, it's just peculiar. It's the outrageous designs they had in the 70s, trying to get more downforce and all that. But it's a nice car actually. No, actually I must. Okay, forget that. See, it's quite bent on the right side. Jesus.
Oh dear. Oh yeah, that's a big hit he's taken from someone or something.
That car seems to have a Can-Am magnet, because it's always attracting the other cars.
Indeed. But so far we only have 2 retirees, so Alberto Jr. and Mikael Drexler. Almost 10 laps in, I think we are. 7, okay, a bit early. But it looks like Yves Basset is still keeping up with Johan Boss, and behind them we have the 4-way scrap between the Mochenbacher racing guys and the McLaren of Yates and the Shadow of Grant Vidal. So I just made a slight mistake going onto the front straight. Wow, he was almost flat going through turn 1. That's very brave.
Oh, David Jack's now trying to make the move there, but that didn't work. Starting to get a bit frustrated.
You can partly understand him. I think he's probably quicker than Grant overall, but it's one of those situations where a car that's faster in a straight line is very difficult to pass.
Yeah, and looking in front of Grant and seeing the other cars getting away slowly isn't certainly making him calmer.
White at having a huge tail kicking moment going under the bridge out of turn 9, trying to keep up with the battling pair ahead. But I think that David's best opportunity is down there at turn 3 where he tried last time around. It's just a question of keeping close enough and having enough speed going through turn 1 and 2. You can see a bit of tire smoke and some dirt being kicked up. So everyone is trying as hard as they can.
So David suffered not really a huge chunk of time in the front. He is already lapping cars. He did it with Bruno Chacon, which I think is the last classified, now with Timo Vernersch. And now the rest of the leaders are trying to pass safely Bruno. Yves has already made it through.
Now comes the battling pair.
Let's see if this gives David Jacks a chance to pull a trick on Grant Riddle, because they're finding the lap car in the twisty section, which is not exactly the most convenient for Grant. Look at that. It might actually hinder him in the exit of this corner, and that gives an opportunity, but David Jack suffered the same thing. He couldn't get a clean getaway.
Looks like Jason should
better
also...
than Grant, but not enough.
Jason also gets by just about. He's a bit shallow though. Just to take it a bit easy going through turn 1.
It's a missed opportunity for David Jacks, because Grant certainly didn't have that good exit from the turn because of a lapped car. So here's another one.
Jason has a
twisted section.
Wow. Jason had a bit of an opportunity there. So I got excited for nothing.
So let's see what happens now. They are coming to Team of Merge here in the twisted section. And I believe that Grant is probably not pushing it that much because he maybe wants to
to try and create pick
David
indeed.
Jacks can use the car to his advantage.
Wasn't quite able to make that work though, but it was a good idea. Well, he did gain just a bit of a gap. Not sure how that quite came about. Well, we can also see that David Juntas closed in on Raul Jereb. Now only laying about a second behind, if that even. You can see also that Gabriel Sturr has made his way past Ryan Yannick.
Now if Jason Whitehead starts to put pressure on David Jacks, that could make it easy for Grant to open a gap and get away. Because you said that David Jacks was scared than Grant. That's likely possible, but it could also happen that Grant is having to drive defensively when having David Jacks behind him. So, but no, yeah, you're right, because David Jacks is catching up with Grant rather quickly, I believe. Yeah, Grant is sliding all the time, leaving rubber marks. He seems to suffer a bit from understeer this time.
But he does have that peculiar...
I don't see him comfortable at all in this race.
Ooh, that's a late one. But Mark, I believe that's Mark Craggs in that yellow machine. Gets that well out of the way, very nicely done. Doesn't cause any major issues. And of course we do have Jason Whitehead just behind. I haven't seen him make that many moves. He had one opportunity but decided not to take it. I get the feeling that he's just watching this race unfold at the moment.
Yeah, well, put yourself in his situation. I mean, if you overtake the car in front, then you are a sandwich between David Jackson and Grant Riddle. So that's not exactly the position you want to be in a race. I mean, very hard to overtake the car in front, very hard to defend from the car behind.
Indeed, but now he's put into that position because
yeah, exactly.
David Yates made a bit of a mistake.
We're going to see how that pans out, but
something I'm pretty sure.
If there's a mistake by David Jackson, obviously Jason Whitehead was... Well, what was that? Well, I don't know exactly what made David Jack's mistake, but that seemed to me as if willing to tell something to Jason Whitehead.
Oh, and unfortunately Raul Jereb has just retired.
Oh!
Looks like it's a clean disconnect. He was beneath the bridge and then...
Really unfortunate.
And he disappeared.
Jesus. Now the leader is coming to Philippe Rique, or whatever is left from his car. What's this? Oh, you have also on the grass, and each class has been able to overtake him there. He has paid dearly for that mistake.
Let's bring it up on a replay because we didn't quite see. Oh. Okay, did what David Yates did just a lap before here. Hit the inside of the corner a bit too hard and flung the car around. Åcerclinth has made a bit of a mistake again. He's now been passed. But his superior speed should mean that he just blasts by I believe it's the Moschenbachers are
Look at that. Let's see. Just
wow!
Yes. To trap him against the lap car.
Whoa!
Oh, three-wheeler!
Oh
my
wow!
God! Was that Nick for or Canna?
David Yates, what a move! Wow!
I think he pulled it thinking, I either become the hero or the villain of the night.
Indeed, wow! That was really impressive. Let's watch that all unfold on TV cameras as well. While we...
I think that I'd be confident to pull that move side by side with Grant Riddle, but not side by side with Felipe Enrique.
Well, Felipe did nothing wrong. He stayed well out of the way.
Now you have us paying dearly for a track exit because he has all the wolves on his tail.
Very much so, and possibly one of the quickest wolves in the pack. Directly behind him here. But yeah, that's. I'm still at that move that David just pulled. That was really impressive. Oh, and Grant is a bit wide here. Yep, he's on the grass. Okay, he stays ahead for now. Jason Whited. He got a little bit lucky. Oh, he's on the grass again. I think Grant is overdriving a little bit.
Yeah, he seems to be a bit confused by the shape of his car because it remembers a lawnmower, so probably he's trying to honor it a bit.
That's a possibility. When he's wide again. I believe they're side by side. Okay, he just about managed to stay ahead. That will allow the pair ahead to pull away. Yeah, I don't know, maybe the officials paid the Shadow team to fix the lawn so that they could, while they were here, so that they don't have to pay the expenses.
And watch out behind because, as is usual in his races from less to more, David Junt is starting to warm up and gain some ground on the guys in front. And it wouldn't surprise me much if we see him on Jason White's tail in some laps.
That's definitely a possibility. You can see cars in front, so he has that carriage to work with. Of course, we also know that David is very consistent. So as soon as the cars in front battle, he will be gaining time. Well, oh! I think I gave him the broadcaster's curse, commentator's curse. He just span off, unfortunately. Bit of a half spin, touched the wall a little bit. Hopefully there isn't any major damage done. And that will have dropped it quite a bit of time to the cars in front. Who was granted sideways again.
Yeah, like I said before, he doesn't seem to be much comfortable in the car today. Or maybe in the track, I don't know, but in any case the result is the same. He's not performing as we are used to see him. Oh, I think that you have us killed too much speed there. Maybe David Jacks has a better exit here. He's getting closer, but still the engine in that factory McLaren is crazy. So powerful.
And I believe we'll also see the superior corner speed. Yep, we do.
Yeah.
Dirty air, but even without
Exactly.
dirty air.
That doesn't let David Jacks the least. Oh, and look at Grant in that turn.
all sideways, all attack. Just like we'd expect him to drive, I suppose.
He was understeering now badly into that corner. Almost lost the position there.
You certainly can't blame him for not trying his
Amazing
hardest.
that he was actually able to recover from that without losing the position.
Yeah, that's very impressive indeed. And of course he's also a fair driver, he won't do anything dangerous to someone else, so he knew exactly. Oh, I see sideways again behind. Definitely under pressure here. But he won't move over and send someone off the road because he don't know where the drivers around him are. He is very fair and will leave the room if need be.
And behind them there's also a small battle going on between Brian Janik and Gabriel Ster. Janik has been catching up with him. It's already him in striking distance, but not yet putting pressure on him, just following.
Well, I believe they've been...
Oh, Adam Hackman has spun and he's now reversing to get into the track.
And he's back going.
Fortunately he was all by himself, so he didn't lose any position there.
Whoa.
And then there's Pascal Mikula and Ray Riddle. They are also both close together. We haven't seen them much in this race today.
I believe their cars aren't that well suited.
Is spinning in one of the quick turns.
But I think he kept it out of the trees.
Yeah. There's a good amount of runoff area in this track, which is good. So fortunately, it's not as easy to hit the barrier.
Quite so, and it's good to see that Mark Craggs is still running in this race. And as I said, he's a newcomer. He hasn't been at HSO before, but staying on the track and picking up some valuable experience and getting a feel for what HSO racing is all about. And he may also have a battle incoming because he's got Timo Vermeer's close behind.
A bit of a gap.
Yes, indeed.
He's gotten rid of the pressure from David Jackson, so has Grant Riddle with Jason Whited. And I think they were very much needing that pick because it takes a toll on your nerves.
Indeed, which we saw back in Saint-Chauvet, where there were a very hard battle for quite a few laps around the middle of the race, and in the end the drivers couldn't quite hold on.
Jason Whited catches up with Grant Riddle in the twisty section. It's obvious that he's defending his position today, mostly there in the quick one, and blocking in the slower section because, well, Jason Whited is clearly catching up with him in that section. Oh! Yeah, Grant just hit the wall coming out of the turn.
This could be the opportunity Whited needs, although unfortunately it's technically on the wrong side of the track. He needs Grant to run wide. Wow, look at that exit from Grant. on the drift, getting the power down very well indeed. Pulled a few yards just in the first 20 yards of the track. As we have a left car front here as well. Ooh. Oh, that was Bruno Chacon trying to get out of the way, I think. Maybe a bit of miscommunication between him and David Yates, I'm not sure. It looks like both Juha Boos and David Yates got held up by the march. And now Grant is within striking distance again. Well, almost anyway. All sideways through here. Really pushing hard. Take advantage. Oh, yes, we have a spinner. That's Juha Boos, was it?
Yeah, I think he has been lucky enough not to hit anything. But that was a close call. And he better hurry up because David Jonatan is already there.
Well, I would seem then that he was pushing as hard as he could just to stay ahead, but...
Oh, look at Jason Whitehead. Grant missed the entry of the turn and Whitehead was able to get in, but I have a bit of the feeling that Grant somehow invited him. He didn't seem to be comfortable being there in front. Maybe he wants to gauge how his car behaves while being a bit behind. Because I didn't see him really trying to defend that position.
It's difficult to tell for certain what the strategy is between the different drivers, but...
He's constantly smoking the wheel, sliding, leaving rubber marks. No, he's not happy at all. Oh, Jason White!
Oh, near! Oh dear! That's unfortunate.
He was a bit optimistic with the gas, and yeah, that hit.
Well, looked like he was sideways as soon as he turned in.
Apparently bent there in the car, but let's hope that the car hasn't any really important damage.
Very much so. That was very unfortunate. He just got by and then he pushed a bit too hard. Looks like, as I said, he was sideways as soon as he turned in, so...
That's sad because he was having a really great race so far, and also because this has made Grant be at a bigger distance from the lead. Lawnmower win again now on turn 1. And now... Oh, Grant! He's... yeah, full spin, hitting the fence. Oh my god! Well,
he was really trying, so... And again, he was sideways as soon as he turned in. And he just tried to hold it, instead of just locking her up, he tried to hold it on the drift, on the slide. Now he's all the way back with David Junt. So he lost a lot of time with that spin.
And that Shadow, compared with the others, is such a small car. But it has a bigger wing.
Indeed.
No, but he really isn't able to put up a fight today. I don't know if it's the car, the track, or Grant not feeling okay, but he's not in shape.
I have a feeling it's probably more down to the car and track combination than anything else, because Grant is usually very well situated. And also, looking further back the field, we now have the battle I saw brewing before between Vermeersch and Craggs. So this could be a bit interesting to watch, as Timo has a bit of a look out the inside. Actually makes it stick by the looks of things. Very nice move there. Mark didn't try too hard to defend. Of course, still trying to get a feel for.
It's coming up to that now.
Of course, trying to get a feel for how he should race different drivers and so on, and he moves out of the way very sportingly of Whited right there. And hopefully White will have it. Well, okay. So he has to wait until after this corner. He's really wanting to get by here. Lap Vermeersch. Not sure if Vermeersch will have been too happy with that. Oh dear, that's unfortunate. Quacks has a bit of a spin, a bit of a moment under the brakes.
He will not be hitting anything.
At least that's good. I believe that would have been down to him locking the brakes a little bit. As he was going into the final turn, possibly distracted by the lapping going on up ahead, but that puts an end to that battle. We have a bit of a battle still between Ray Riddle and Pascal Mikkola. But it looks like it's for the time being you lead and I'll follow kind of situation. I don't think Ray's quite quick enough to make his way by yet. And of course the rest of the field, unfortunately, with all these spins, has been spread out a little bit.
It's, I think, Gabriel Sir and Brian Janik who are so now.
Oh, they are indeed.
Oh, Grand Prix out there on the side. He
Wow.
seems to have spun.
Wow. So he is definitely struggling with that car today. For one reason or another. So now these guys are fighting for 7th position. So they are very well situated in the points. Both Brian and Gabriel, so I think especially Brian will be very happy with where he is in the field, considering he's been struggling a little bit in his previous M6 McLaren. So far having a much better run here. But as I say that, he runs a little bit wide coming out of turn 2. But I think, considering we have a bit of a break in any major hard-fought battles, we'll have a look at the trivia question. I'm just waiting for the good camera to come up here. There we go. So let's see.
Oh, Red Riddle now owes to Pascal.
Let's grab this and see. When that got broken up by, I believe that's David Saber, is it? It is indeed. As he runs wide, trying to lap Pascal Mikkola.
Yeah, that's what happens when you're trying to lap us there are in the middle of a battle.
Very much so, but very sportingly from Ray Riddle there. He could have gone by and stayed closer to Pascal, but instead he stayed back and allowed David to find his racing speed once again. Here comes Saber up the inside of Mikla into the last corner. Being a bit more careful this time around after running wide during his previous attempt.
I think we're now in the back. Both Porsches fighting for position there, and Felipe.
Interesting. Let's have a look.
Oh!
Here we are. Oh, dearie me! Just came back to look like a bit of contact there. Getting really close to the rear of Ibañez's 917 PA.
Smoke there. Burnt engine where Mark Cracks is now. Engine, let me see. Grant Riddle has spun the engine.
Oh no.
Yeah, well, what starts bad doesn't normally end well.
Oh, I suppose you're right, but that's not really the way you want to go out. Then again, he was really pushing hard, so it looks like that will have been on a gear change, or possibly missed a gear. But either way, unfortunately, Grant is out of the race as well. It looks like we now have a bit of a gap, so let's see if we can finally get the trivia question asked, so that you'll have something to think about when there's no major action on the track. So the question we have for you tonight is: who won the first Can-Am race held at Donnybrooke on September 27th, 1970? Was it A. Denny Hulme, B. Dan Gurney, or C. Peter Gethin? And I think I should be honest, I got that wrong when I tried to answer the question when I first saw it, but let's see how you all do later on when we come back to the question.
So it seems that Felipe, well, he had been able to overtake Timo Vermeers. Now on this exit of the turn, it isn't so clear anymore. Yeah, made it stick.
Oh, how close! Oh, dearie me! I was going to say how close do you want it, but that was actually contact there. Was Enrique spins again, trying to get going. Well, two cars looking for the same piece of track by the looks of things.
Yeah, I think that Timo's car understeered out of the corner, and in doing so he shaved the rear of Felipe's car, which probably wasn't too sorry about, considering how he was rammed some time ago.
Very much so. I think I agree with you on that one. Yeah, that also brings Mark Cracks close to Felipe Enrique. Not close enough to make a move just yet, but gives him a carrot to chase. And still the battle between Ray and Pascal rages on. Where Pascal looks like he's pushing hard at the moment. Trying to make use of the draft he may be able to get from Yves Place's car as Pascal runs wide. It's all squarely coming up the final corner. This may be the opportunity that Ray needs, as he has a run. He is on the inside. Oh, a bit of contact.
But he made it.
Wow. That's a really brave pass. And a good pass. Whereas here comes David Yates to lap both of them. Looks like David has actually closed in on Yves just a little bit in the last few laps.
Yeah, I suppose that
Ooh.
Pascal was going to try to sneak in.
Oh, he does! Bit of contact there. He should probably reverse the positions, and he stays wide and does so. Very sporting from
Yeah, I think
Pascal.
he gave the position back to right.
Oh, is he? Oh, unfortunately, he span there, trying to look up the inside
he
again.
managed to do a Sullivan and is continuing.
Very nice save indeed. Very good job on that. And a bit further up, still running nose to tail, is Brian Yannick and Gabriel Stern. I have an inkling suspicion that they are both enjoying this quite a bit, being able to run so close to one another for this long and being able to have the odd scrap.
What's up with Jason Whitehead? He's into the pits.
Oh, yes, unfortunately Gabriel Stern just span. And who did you say? Whitehead? Wow. Is he stopping? He's actually stopping in the pits. And he shuts the engine off, so that this will be a long service of some kind. This is very unfortunate for him. He who had such a good race going will now drop much further back the leaderboard. And we can see for David Yates a lot of traffic right now. Adam Hackman, and I believe that is Timo Vermeersch's Porsche. Both of them are getting out of the way before the final turn, very sporting from both of them. Let's actually have a ride on board with David Yates for a lap and watch the Works McLaren help David perform some really good lap.
I should say for reference that we are not even half into the race. It's only 32 laps so far.
It's incredible that it's only been 32 laps.
Yeah.
Feels like it's been
always the same with the first half of the races. So much action that you tend to think that you're much further down into the race.
Indeed. Somehow makes it feel a bit like a touring car race, where they have, like, in modern days, between 10 and 15 laps to get the action in.
So, and Felipe Enrique is getting again close to Timo Vermeersch, and will likely be willing to return him the favor.
Well, possibly, as Yves Placer goes up the inside.
To lap now.
Oh. Nice save there, Felipe. It's a bit of a close one.
Now David Jack's coming. This is a that is not recommended to lap cars, but fortunately Felipe made it easy for him.
Well, it's one of those situations where as long as the lapped cars actually shows you that, well, I'll be out of your way, take your line, and it's no problem to lap, but when the lapped car decides I'm taking the racing line, that's when the trouble comes.
Yeah, but the thing is, in those very quick turns, I mean, when you get to a slow turn, you can actually modify quite a lot what you're going to do to enter that corner. You know, you can make a later entry, an earlier entry, or get away with it. But when you're going to such a very fast turn, then there's likely only one line through it. So you really have to be sure that the other car is making room, because otherwise you're heading for disaster, because you both will want the same piece of real estate.
Certainly, and I mean that's something we see every now and then.
Oh, Pascal Nicola has abandoned? What happened?
Really? What?
He got stuck in the trees. Probably had a spin and...
I'm trying to reverse and see. Let's see, going into turn 1. Yeah, he got sideways as soon as he turned in and tried to correct, and it overcorrected, and as you say, he ended up in the trees. That's very unfortunate. He was having a... Considering the car he's in, a very good race.
Yeah, but he got tangled, caught by the trees.
Indeed. It's a good thing we're in the simulated world here. That would have been a very bad crash if it had been him actually in the car.
In real life, of course, he would have hit all those 3 barks, and that'd be the end of it. Instead, he was just lucky also that he got just tangled there as if he was in the Mirkwood forest.
Very much so. Just having a look, looks like it's more or less status quo between second and third in the form of Placé and Yakes. It looks like it's reasonably close between Junt and Bors. Bors hasn't been able to pull that big of a gap unless he's just had a bit of bad luck with the lappings recently. Another place where we could get a battle in a few laps time is between Rio in the Lola, and as he runs wide, maybe sooner than I was expecting, and between his Lola and the McLaren of Gabriel Sturr.
Philippe Enrique, really not willing to let Timo Vermeers go. He's there in pursuit again, but now he's having to make some room for Wright Riddle and the other cars that come lapping, and that's such a frustrating thing. When you're trying to have your battle with the guy in front and you're constantly having to make room for the quicker cars to go by.
Indeed, and also noting Timo is in the middle of the track, making sure not to give any kind of draft to Felipe's portion. And then we also have one of the works McLarens coming through as well. So here comes Ray up to the inside, Timo stays wide, lets him by. And the 7th, that would be Johan Bors with David Yates not too far behind him, so he'll want to navigate past Ibañez as soon as he possibly can. See, ooh, that was a bit aggressive. Didn't look like Timo was quite wanting to have him go up the inside there, but worked out. Timo saw him in time and moved out of his way.
Yeah, well, the frustration goes both ways. I mean, for Filipe Enrique, but also for Timo, because he wants to really get away from Filipe's clutches, and he's also hampered by the lapping cars.
Indeed, as Filipe gets sideways and loses a bit of time. So
yeah, he's a bit optimistic with the gas on exit. Same thing that happened to him before. He's eager to get to Timo first. And I have the feeling that we will get some funny reading in the next intersection diaries from Timo Vermeers. It wouldn't surprise me if we get to see some kind of stinking drunken Brazilian driver that wasn't allowed to drive or something like that. That kind of character, you know.
Yeah, possibly. I think his team boss in the intersection diaries will be having a few heart attacks as well with the up and down situation of the lappings and the battles in general here between the two Porsches. And I believe that's Mark Crack's not far behind. No, it wasn't. My apologies. That will be Ryan Yannick. None. I have the feeling if he finishes ahead of Enrique while having to battle him for the whole race, he'll probably be celebrating with a bottle of his best wine. As Enrique hits the wall hard. Oh, I believe Enrique may just be out here. Oh, his car is actually still running. Oh, that's... Well, you can't blame
whether it runs straight or not, it's a different matter.
Very much so, but at least you can't blame the Porsche people. They do build them very strong.
Yeah, the car is very damaged. I think he will be heading for the pits.
I think he has at least the right front puncture by the looks of things, but the sparks coming from the wheel and a few other small bits and pieces bent on the car.
Must be frustrating as hell for him. I mean, trying to catch up with the car in front when you are constantly being lapped, that is really frustrating. I mean, it's I don't know, it's like trying to be courting a really nice girl in a pub, but only you do it at the entry of the bathroom, so there's always people going in the middle.
And that's a very good way to describe the feeling, for sure. I know
Not that it has ever happened to me, of course, but I suspect it must be a similar feeling.
I believe so. It hasn't happened to me either, the comparison thing, but being lapped while in a battle I've been experiencing quite a bit. I've never been... I should say I'm usually not that fast, so I'm usually getting lapped at least once in the races. And, when you're right in the heat of a battle, it's really difficult to make room for the faster cars and not wanting to lose too much time and stay in the battle, and all those small things that you need to keep an eye on. Especially considering you're also your own engineer in most cases during during these races.
Oh, thanks God you're not your own mechanic, because if you had to do the reverse on these things, you'd be there still wrenching when the next race starts.
I think you'd probably have the wrench in your hand for a good 3 years just to try and get the car back together. Unless you have a very good understanding of the machine. And also with Brian Yannick's spin just a moment ago, we saw him off in the foreground when Felipe Enrique was heading for the pits. Gerard Riot has closed in quite a bit here and is only a few car levels behind now. Well, that may have been a bit of an exaggeration.
Between Whitehead and Chacon. While lapping, Chacon is having to go back to track.
Looks like he's back running now, thankfully. Wow, he was way off the track. Ooh. That's a bit unfortunate, but at least he's back running, which is good. It looks like he is going quite slowly, he may have a puncture. Possibly. Yeah, he's off the racing line, so I think he either has some damage or a puncture. Yeah, that's definitely a puncture. That's unfortunate.
But what the... He missed a pit entry. Ah.
Well, he's in there now anyway. Well, considering you don't really expect to do pit stops, you may not have had any pit stop practice till now. Unfortunately, it looks like Felipe Enrique has decided to retire his Porsche after the crash we saw a couple of laps ago.
Yeah, I think it was beyond repair.
Definitely very likely. It was a very, very hard hit. You can see here David Yates was very close to Yves when they came to lap Felipe and Timo, but now he's quite a bit behind. So either he's had a bit of a mistake or he's lost even more time during lapping than what he lost being behind Timo.
So not a lot of action apparently on the track. Is that the Gabriel Ster is catching up with Gerard Rion, and I think we'll be fighting for position with him in some laps.
Hopefully that
2
will...
seconds behind. 2 seconds behind right now.
Okay, and we'll wait for them to come to turn 1, and then we'll...
Similar lap times to Keswan's, but Gabriel is being a bit more consistent.
Well, I did notice that Gerard was having a bit of a strange... well, he's changing gears more than I've seen others do.
Gerard's car, which by the way is I think the only one that is equipped with that soft pad in the center of the steering wheel, as you usually see for example in oval racing. That's actually a safety feature, so it's designed that when you hit something and you're, I don't know, propelled on your head or your hand or whatever against the steering wheel, you find there the soft pad instead of the metal center. Non-surprising in the case of this car being driven by Jackie Stewart, because we all know how obsessed he was with safety.
Indeed.
Well, in the case of Gerard, it's also a nice place to hit hard with your hands in frustration. So.
Very much so. Only thing technically lacking would be a horn, so that you could really express your frustration.
Yeah, I remember in Grand Prix Legends, you had the ability to raise your arm. You remember that?
Yeah.
you could bind it to a key, and it was supposed to be signaled to the car behind that you were either going to the pits or your engine had broken or God knows what, and you were going to be slower. I remember people used it continuously to express anger and any sentiment. I mean, I believe there was even at one point a serious attempt to mod the 3D so that they could make the middle finger stick out of the fist.
Get the... don't know if you watched the film Smokey and the Bandit.
Oh yes, it's one of my favorites.
Then you probably remember the scene where they have the sort of limousine and they have a monkey as the supposed driver of the car.
But that's the Cannonball Run.
Sorry?
That's the Cannonball Run, not Smokey and the Bandit.
Oh god, I'm an idiot. Yeah, sorry, I'm thinking of the wrong film. My apologies, but yeah, Cannonball Run. Where they have a monkey as the supposed driver. They are sitting inside the darkened window car, driving, and they pull up next to a nice old lady driving a car, probably on the way to the shops or something. And she's like, oh, what a cute little guy, sort of. And the monkey gives her the middle finger, in which response she gives him the big middle finger, taking her hands off the wheel and using both arms to perform this sign, and promptly puts it in the store. I believe it's either it's a gas station or it's a sort of clothing store. And that's sort of the feeling I get when you talk about the modding, trying to mod that future into the sim, and also everyone expressing their anger very promptly and very often. That's actually the sort of arm waving is something I sort of miss in R Factor, because I usually used it to say thank you for letting me buy, or I'll let you buy here.
I think you're also not much used to seeing that in the streets there in Norway, because you're quite a civilized country, but if you happen to drive somewhere here in Spain or in Italy, I guarantee you will see a lot of that.
I can sort of imagine. I had my father's friends was down in Italy on vacation. They decided they'd take a cab, a taxi to where they were going. Yeah, they jumped in, there was no problem. And as soon as he set off, they realized, holy god, we've made a mistake. Because he was driving as if he had stolen that car. And shouting and screaming and waving his arms all about. Suddenly stopping in the middle of a junction just to step out and shout at another taxi driver who himself was out of the car. Suddenly they both jumped into the taxis again and set off like a madman. Finally they reached the location after they had like 2 heart attacks and 2 very near near-death experiences. But they did survive the journey, thankfully.
Yeah, I remember that well, when I was in Milan with my wife. At some point, I really believed that was just a show they pulled up for the tourists.
It is possible, I suppose. Oh, is Yadrio in the meantime is running wide right here.
There is Gabriel Stur sneaking by as the Arion made a small error in the exit of turn 2.
It's very unfortunate, but hopefully Gerard will be able to get on terms with Gabriel here and catch back up. Oh, he has a much better turn 1. He has a bit of a run here. Let's see what happens. Oh, you don't want to be around the outside. Oh, he's trying to cut back. Oh, what a beautiful move this is if he pulls it off. Oh, Gabriel Stur breaks early. Himself trying to do the cutback, but that's a fantastic move by Gerard. Really nicely done.
Oh, he got the better acceleration out of the turn there.
I think that's showing the fact that Gerard is actually using second for the slower corners by the sounds of things, and then gearing up on these short straights. Oh, oh dearie me, hold on to it, boy.
Yeah, he lost traction there, and well, he shaved all those cones away.
At least he survived, which is a good thing.
Yeah, it will be hard for him to catch up with Gabriel Stur now. Ah, no.
Looks like he's overdriving a little bit.
It's very likely, yeah. That Lola is a bit of... I mean, it's a quick car, but it's a handful, and Jackie Stewart was the first to say it. It was so understeery that they were mad at it. They didn't know how to fix that. They put that big shovel front wing. Nothing seemed to cure it.
Well, unfortunately, Jason White is out of the race.
Yeah, he retired some laps ago. Didn't want to interrupt. Not sure what happened there. He probably went in for repairs, but that didn't work out.
That's very unfortunate. We can see again behind David Saber that Gerard is sideways again, so definitely some frustration there, I think.
David Jones still trying to catch up with Juha Boss. That powerful fat McLaren. Unless there is a driving error, it's nothing to let David get too close. With just seeing them there high speed in the quick section and well going so quick. Which reminds me to finish off the anecdotes we were talking about Italy before. When my wife and I had to catch the return flight to Spain, we got up early in the morning. I don't remember which hour it was. It was a Sunday at 9 AM, I think. So we got a taxi and we told him to take us to the airport. That goes, by the way, close to the circuit of Monza.
Okay.
And the guy in the taxi, that was a Mercedes, I believe it was. And when we go there, please take us to the airport. And he asked us if we were in a hurry, if we were late to the plane or something like that. No, there's plenty of time. Okay, va bene, va bene. Va bene? 160, 170 over the highway. I mean, if I had told him that we were in a hurry, I don't want to know what he would have done. Well, we were alone on the highway. You know, I think we were the only car. Of course, we didn't overtake anybody, but probably the main reason was because everybody was traveling at that speed. Still?
Good God. Oh dear me. I can imagine that was a bit of a scary situation to be in. In terms of cabs, at least, well, taxis, the usual car is the sort of the Mercedes, because they generally don't break down.
Yeah.
And of course, as you experienced, they can go quite a speed without that much hassle.
Yeah. They sure do. Well, David is putting some pressure already on Juha.
Indeed. Oh, as Juha runs wide. It's a good run off the corner though. Oh, as he takes a bit.
Cutting a corner.
He has slowed down, so David has caught back up, so that's all okay, I think.
Well, I think at this point the mental fatigue is taking.
So my apologies, looked like David had a run. Didn't quite come good. But you're probably right. Of course, the Works McLaren is the fastest car, so you need to be probably the most observant of what you're doing in that car, considering you're coming at such a high speed. But we can see again here in the really fast flowing section, the Works McLaren pulls away quite a bit from number 54 machine.
Yeah, it's the extra downforce and the big engine.
And I believe that's is that an M8 D possibly?
You mean the factory car?
No, the number 54
David
Jones machine.
Let me check. A moment. I think it was the previous year airport. It's a B model with a 7.6 Chevrolet V8.
Wow, okay.
Whereas the factory McLaren, the F model, has the 8 liters Chevrolet V8, which is the same engine equipped in the factory Lola, the one that Gerard was driving, in Grant Riddle's Shadow, and also Steve Parker's Lola, the 222. Though that one usually doesn't last a lot. It's also in Ray Riddle's car, the T222. In the Auto Coast, which is free right now at the entry list.
That's unfortunate. I like that car.
Well, you're broadcasting, so...
I know. I miss not having that car on the track. It's a bit like with the Lola. It's a bit of a peculiar car, but I sort of like the look of it. Considering he has a smaller engine in the car, David is doing a really good job keeping up with Juha right here.
Oh, you bet.
Putting him under pressure as well.
And he's probably the guy that always looks fresher toward the ends of the races. That's where you can see his endurance racing genius, because he knows how to pace himself well over a whole race, especially over long ones.
Certainly. Oh!
Wow! That hurt.
Well, that was miscommunication, I think.
Yeah, I think maybe Bruno either left it to give David the run, or maybe he was accelerating too much and thought he should lift a bit to preserve traction. Either way, it's, well, unfortunate racing incident, underlapping.
Well, that's racing. Sometimes you gain time, sometimes you lose time with those kind of situations, but hopefully both survive without any damage. And
in any case, he's now again behind Juha Boss.
Looks like he's closing in. I'm just going to have a quick look, see if there's any other battles going on. It looks like it's fairly spread out apart from these two. We are about soon to be 15 laps from the end of the race.
This has been a really, really long race, tiring one.
Indeed. Just like Paul Ricard and Manos Rodriguez, the Mexico Grand Prix track in the old layout is. Because while you have
to be one of the few persons in the world that likes the modern layout of Hermanos Rodriguez, it was racing Formula 191. Oh, David June just
David!
touched
Oh,
the curb and... Yeah,
wow!
When you touch the curb under acceleration... So... Well... The nose is a bit bent, not a lot. Maybe some damage in the front spoiler. Let's see if this affects driving or not.
Well,
More on the steer at high speed turns should be expected, I believe.
Indeed. Because he hit quite the speed there. And when he's out to the outside of the track again, trying to put the power down. That's unfortunate for us. That's that battle, at least for the time being, split up. And everyone else is unfortunately very spread out.
Yeah, this is actually a big track, and we don't have any more many cars in the field, so
well, it is what it is, but it gives us an opportunity.
This is part of the race that becomes so tiring for the guys in front. They don't have pressure anybody to fight against, though Yves Placé is now only 4.4 seconds from David Saber. Seems he has been, well, yeah, look at that, last lap from Yves Placé was much quicker than the ones before. A very low 1.28, 128.2, whereas all the previous laps had been 129 something and above that. So all of a sudden he has sped up considerably, whereas in the case of David Saber, the last laps he has been fairly regular in mid 129s.
Maybe Yves has been conserving his car and tires then, and decided that now is the time to strike.
Maybe.
We'll see. I suspect this and the next lap will tell us whether it is time to go all out for the win or not, since that will give...
Jack is gaining ground on Juha again, so He's not giving up, that's for sure. And his car doesn't seem to be, finally, is not too affected by the incident.
That's positive. That means we might have two fights to watch from the end
Whoa,
of the race.
look at that. Yves is now only 2.8 seconds behind David Sauber. That's interesting. I mean, David's last lap wasn't brilliant. It was 1:30.4, which is actually the slowest of the last 10 or 12 laps.
Indeed, we can see right here how much he's closing in, especially in the braking zones. I don't know if David might be struggling with the brakes, or if his tires are gone, or if it's watching after the engine or whatever. But definitely seems like he's slower.
Yves is already there.
Indeed.
Well, if Yves manages to get this one, then that will certainly put him a bit again in the championship trail.
Indeed, with it being 5 points apart, that would bring it back to... Ooh, nicely held, Yves. That was a big moment. That would mean he's like 2 or 3 points behind again. That would mean a really close battle, and considering how Edmonton looks, that's definitely a place where Yves and the Ferrari could definitely go on and score a win.
Yeah, that's certainly a track for the Ferrari, and also probably for the Shadow.
Indeed.
David Junt also catching up quickly with Juha Boss, not as close as Yves to David Sauber, but well, both factory McLarens in trouble towards the end of the race.
Maybe it's a tire thing, considering how much power they have and how quickly they are going through the fast sweepers. As we can see Mick Chapman there in the BRM on the side of the road, getting going once again. Now there's also lap traffic, so we'll see what this does to this whole situation. He's taking a very wide arc through the final corner to try and get as much speed as he can down the straight.
It seems that David has recovered a bit and is now keeping Yves in distance. But still, I mean, he has lost almost all his advantage in the final 10 laps.
Indeed.
Yves being held there a bit by Adam Hackman. This is a difficult part of the track, not the best one to overtake.
Indeed. Just like we said before, it's a more or less a one line, 2 corners there. So that breaks that up just a little bit. David Saber has spun. And that's
that gives a lead to what's happening to him?
Well, he span on the one tires, and now oh dearie me. Okay, he does the right thing. Oh. No, he did not do the right thing.
Total misunderstanding. Now he has lost the position to David Jacks also.
Wow.
Wow, so unfortunate. With only 10 laps remaining.
That has to be down to the tires for both of the works McLarens.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so that's a big championship changer, I believe. If it finishes like this, Yves may actually get into the lead of the championship by a point or 2. Not entirely sure, but that's definitely a surprising situation.
And David is going very slow. He's heading into the pits. My goodness.
Wow.
Probably he's, I don't know, maybe he's out of tires completely.
Well, I suppose it's possible, but
Must be really bad if he has decided to go into the pits only a few laps from the finish.
I think this is probably a bit of a rash decision to make. I think it would have been better off to try and survive the last few laps.
So meanwhile, the Bijan is catching up with Juha Boss. He has him on site, and they are now getting David Sever's position as he's still in the pits. Well, this is going now. Now he's coming out of the pits. There was a quick stop only for tires. My goodness. Maybe he's confident that with his car and fresh tires and low fuel load he can, well, no longer win the race, but at least do some damage limitation that otherwise he would not have been able to.
Possibly.
So he's now, well, he's now quite behind. He's 9 seconds behind David, who is, by the way, putting already big pressure on Juha Boss.
Well, one thing he could possibly hope for in the eventuality that David Jun gets by Juha Boss is that Juha, as his teammate, decides to let him get at least one extra point if he can't catch up outright. This is a very strange and interesting situation that has transpired here tonight.
But for that to happen, I think that David would have to be really close to Juha Boss so that he would make that decision. And I don't think he'll be able to catch up that much, but who knows, he's on fresh tires.
Well, he is on fresh tires, but he's still not quite up to speed.
10 laps to go now, and well, we'll see what the lap times are now. Right now it's been 2 very slow laps for David Saber, but because of the tire change, let's see what happens in the next one.
I'm actually running on board with him at the moment.
So David Jones' laps have been 130, 131 in this last one because he had been held up, but Juha and David are lapping around, well, 130.5 more or less. So if David is able to go, which I think it should, into the 128s, that'd be 2 seconds per lap, and well, barely enough to catch them before the checkered flag drops.
Indeed. And then of course we will sort of need them to battle hard for the position. I'm not sure that is going to happen now.
Yeah, and pass 2 cars, because it's both David and Juha there. Though it could also happen that in this fight 1 or 2 of them goes out of the track.
That is of course a possibility. It's really so impressive to watch these cars go through turn 1.
Yeah. I think that David's car is visually looking much quicker there. Well, obviously on fresh tires, but no, but it wasn't a really great lap. 130 dead. So
yeah, I spoke with David Yates before before the race, and he said that it takes 3 to 4 laps for the tires to actually come up to good racing temperature. So maybe David Saber's tires aren't quite up to temperature yet.
maybe.
It's good to see that Mark Craggs is still in this race. Doing well so far by the looks of things, and also good to see that Bruno Chacon is still in the race, despite having been in...
Let's see now, because I think that David jumped very well the exit of this turn. Wow, but there goes the 8 liter. And it's nothing he can do against that engine.
Indeed, but he is closer this time than he was last time, so maybe with a good run through these 2 corners he may have a... Okay, never mind. That McLaren absolutely aces turn 1.
Yeah, he can't pass him in this quick section, so what he has to attempt is to be close enough when they enter the slow one to at least to put pressure on him to force him into an error.
Indeed. Or he needs to try and send one up the inside in the upcoming left-hander. Right here. Just hope that he can make it stick. Because even if he passes...
His best opportunity is coming out of not like this one, because he has better throttle control than Juha, I believe. I mean, besides personal driving ability, Juha Boss has a much more powerful and violent engine, so you obviously are not as... It's not as easy for you when you're coming out of the slow corners. Not in the first yards. Once you have accelerated and the car is up to speed, that's different, but not here. Well, let's see if this is... Now David John's lap. I mean, if he is able to be at this distance when they go into the slow section, then he might have a chance. But look there. I mean, he gets the aerodynamic understeer going into that turn, and he's too far behind. They get here. He's almost as in the previous lap. He did his best there in the braking zone. He really knows it. I mean, it's obvious.
Yep. Was the question of can he actually make his way by? He has 5.5 laps to do so. We can see in the background there David Saber still trying to catch up.
For sure out of the slowest corners, like this one, this right one here. And next one, but that's already the main straight.
It feels like he needs to get by Juha before the left-right combination where he's so quick. Because if he passes him after that, I don't think he'll build enough of a gap to be able to stay ahead through.
If he's in front before last turn, the factory McLaren won't be able to pass him before the start-finish line. At the end of the straight, probably he's toast, but if that's the last lap, that's not a worry.
That's a fair call.
The thing is, look at this here. I mean, if Juha continues arriving to the slow section with this kind of advantage and doesn't make any error, there is no way that David John can have a chance. Oh, and no, sorry, my fault. Just them both.
Well, we do have a couple of lapped cars up ahead of these two. That's Ray Riddle and Jan Drion, so let's see what happens with that. But it looks like David Saber has made another mistake because he's further back now than he was a lap ago.
Yeah, he is not happy with the car, or maybe fatigue has taken over. It can also well happen when you're driving these beasts for such a long race.
Yes, and especially if you're running one of the heavier force feedback settings as well. Because that's also very personal what you prefer, if you want to really fight the wheel or if you just want to have this sort of fine-tuned feelings here and there of what's going on.
Oh, whoa.
Whoa!
That was a good move by Juha boss, letting that lap car for David John to eat in the middle of the corner.
That was really brave from David John to lap him there, I thought. Good job by Ray Riddle to recognize that and leave enough room.
That's always dangerous when you're being hit by one car, not realizing that that might be another one close behind.
Very much so. Especially in these cars where it feels like there's slightly limited vision, unless you're running some kind of non-realistic aid. If you're just using the onboard mirrors, the vision behind you is very limited.
Yeah, even more so, because it's likely that your eyes will be popping 1 centimeter out of the orbits when driving.
Indeed. That's definitely a very possible situation to end up in. Because I did hear that one of the drivers said before the race that these cars really do want to kill you. Which I sort of replied, well, it's technically not the cars wanting to kill you, it's the engineers who engineered the cars that wants to kill you.
Yeah, I mean, once you start flooring the gears and getting up speed, going really quick, you're basically a wild-eyed passenger, loosely in control of things.
Yeah. As I believe that was possibly Mark Craggs getting out of the way very nicely. Oh, and now David is really close behind, going into the back section.
Look at that, the exit of the corner.
When
that's his chance.
Oh, when he had
this one.
He had a look right there.
But Juha has worked very well there.
Indeed, he needs a good exit here. If he gets a good exit here, could try to send it up the inside up here. Nope, then
the heartbreaking thing of this circuit is that this rear part of it is not just twisty, it's also narrow. If this had the width of the other section, it would allow many more strategies. But look at this, it's easy for Juha to block here, because the track is so narrow. It opens up here. But it's too late now.
Sort of reminds me of. Well, it sort of feels like they did this section where it's really fast based on the drag strip / Air Force field, and then they just use the sort of access roads, much smaller and tight access roads that, let's say, the ground crew used to transport stuff and drive their machines and all that around on for this back section here. You're just really trying.
Yeah, he's spinning wheels madly coming out of the turns. Juha isn't leaving those big round marks there. He's very calm now.
I think he sort of has realized that as long as he stays calm and drives his lines, David shouldn't be able to get by unless he does a very opportunistic move somewhere.
That was a good exit from the turn, but as soon as the McLaren is heading for the straight, it starts going so quick you would not believe it. That thing is a rocket.
Indeed.
Oh, another lap car in a very good place. Let's see what happens now.
I believe it's 2 laps to go. Ooh, Juha got held up.
Good move by Bruno.
Indeed. Good on Juha for slowing down just to give himself the opportunity to do something about it. And that looks like the Adrio is off the road. That's very unfortunate. Oh, that's Mick Chapman, my apologies. Couldn't quite see the form of the car. But when David looking for a good exit here, he is almost close enough, just not quite. closes even more in this braking zone. Let's see if he can get a good run. Oh, there's an extra right-hander and give it a go up here. No, not quite. He really is trying everything he can. And Juha slowing down, almost feels like he's parking the car in this left-right combination of corners. And I believe that Yves Placer is out on his final lap of the race, so let's give him a bit of screen time. We haven't seen too much of him in this race, but he has put on a almost completely faultless race. I suppose not leading from start to finish is the only fault he's done, but I believe he's coming out of this last corner for the final time here, and heading towards the start-finish line to finish the race and win it. And he does indeed. So Yves Placer is our winner here tonight, with David Yates heading towards the start-finish line here to finish second and score some good points in his championship hunt
And
to secure
David
third.
Jonatan, I don't think he will have a chance. He's a bit behind, and Juha Bosse is clinging to the podium.
Well, indeed, but there are a few more corners to go, and I wouldn't put it past David to give it a last-minute lunge just to try. But then again, he has a good run there, but can't quite make use of it.
Oh,
He certainly
almost managed to get there side by side.
Oh, he is side by side. He is up there. Can he hold it around the inside here? Oh, side by side contact. Bit of sideways for both of them. Bit of scraping of the wall. Oh, I'm not sure Juha will be too happy with that, but they are still. Oh, let's see who gets the best exit. This will be really close. Oh, Juha around outside. What a run, but not quite enough, I don't think. Looks like David at least provisionally would take the win. Third place. And see, crosses the line, gets third. And Juha Bosse, in the dying bits of the race, unfortunately drops to fourth. Fifth is Brian Yannick, so really good effort for him in his first race for his new team. Sixth for David Saber, a very disappointing race for him in the end. Seventh for Gabriel Sturr. Eighth for Gerard Rion. Ninth for, looks like Ray Riddell. 10th for Adam Hackman. 11th for Mick Chapman. 12th for Timo Vermeersch in the Porsche. Mark Craggs picks up 13th place in his debut here at HSO. Really well done to you, sir. And rounding out the field, last car running is Bruno Chacon in 14th. I'll also do that so that you can see the retirees of this race, but yeah, what a race that ended up being.
Yeah, we had a bit of a dull moment when we were 3/4 into it, but in the end has been... Oh, that's what happened to David Sauber, not enough fuel. Well, it seems Jason White had suffered the same fate, because he posted in the forum saying that.
That's really unfortunate. Wow. Well, while we wait for drivers to possibly join us for a chat after the race, I am bringing up the trivia question again. So the question was, who won the first Can-Am race held at Donnybrooke on September 27th, 1970? Was it A, Denny Hulme, B, Dan Gurney, or C, Peter Gethin? Do you have any? Do you have a guess for that one?
Gethin. Maybe Gethin. I don't know.
Okay. I'm just going to wait a couple of moments longer, and the correct answer to the question is Denny Hulme, who drove one of the works McLarens back in the day, and I answered Dan Gurney, so that's why I had the wrong answer to that question as well. But yeah, what a race, and a couple of really strong and brave passes as well during the race, and well, we had a couple of dull moments, as you said. Overall, a very fun race to watch.
Yeah, certainly. So, I have to run now. Not sure if there is someone waiting to be interviewed because we have no green room. But I have to quit now. It's always a pleasure to be here with you. And we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you very much for joining me tonight, and I look forward to our next race. Take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
User disconnected
So that's
from your channel.
Alberto gone, and I haven't heard anything from any of the other drivers who is on TS, so I think we will be capping off the episode, the broadcast here. So from me, from all the racers, from Alberto, thank you very much for watching the race, and from me, and I think Alberto, thank you very much to our racers for putting on a really good show. And well, until next time, which will be I'm not sure, in the early bits of July, I believe, will be the next broadcast. Take care, and see you next time. Good night, everyone.